Hi, everybody, and welcome to Murray State University, the home of the Murray State Racers, for this special occasion of Murray State's entry into the Missouri Valley Football Conference. My name is Dave Winder with Murray State Athletics, and I am proud to be here at this event today, which is so big for our university and is also following Murray State's entry into the Missouri Valley Conference, which we, of course, announced in January. We are at Heritage Hall at Murray State University, where I believe the last time we were here in 2019, we introduced Coach Dean Hood as our head coach. So let's get to our program here. We are going to get into this press conference here today and let the people that made this happen make some comments and take questions from you as well. So I'm going to start with Dr. Bob Jackson, Murray State University President, Deborah Curtis, Indiana State University President and Chair of the President's Council for the Missouri Valley Conference. Patty Viverito is the Missouri Valley Football Conference Commissioner, Head Coach Dean Hood, and Athletic Director Kevin Saul. First, let's get everybody a great applause for this momentous and historic time here. And it's great to have a lot of our Murray State football team here today in attendance. So we're going to start with opening statements. Dr. Bob Jackson, maybe just give us your thought on being here today for this big moment.
Dave, thanks. Before I make very many comments, I want to say a few words and introduce a few people, if I could.
Certainly can.
As well. Because guests, these are special guests from out of town, and I'm not sure Patty or Dr. Curtis have been to Murray, Kentucky before. It's probably been a few days ago. But we want to recognize Dr. Deborah Curtis, who is the president of Indiana State University, and she is the chair of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. I'm very partial to President Curtis in regard to her help and her support, her friendship, everything that she has done to help Murray State University, not only for the football conference, but for the Missouri Valley Conference entry several weeks ago. But she's, as I said, a first in regard to first female president of Indiana State University, and she's also an alum, and I think alum of her institution. We were talking about how maybe alums look at each and every day of their decision making a little bit differently, but hold your applause for a second, because I want to give her another round of applause. And also Patty Viverito, who's commissioner of the Missouri Valley Football Conference, who has been here before, but Patty's been a great fan, great supporter, a great friend to us as we've gone through this process, and we appreciate both of these ladies very, very much. And let's give them another round of applause. Secondly, I would like to point out members of our Board of Regents. And first, I'm going to recognize our chair, who is probably watching. This is a big day, a very big day for Regent Eric Krigler. And Eric is known by most everyone here. He played football here. He played pro football. He's been a great board member over the last several years, but I want to thank Eric for his leadership as board chair and leadership of the athletics committee of this university. Also, Dr. Melanie Schimberger is right here. She's being blocked by a great football player. Dr. Schimberger is a true blue fan and of all athletics, men's, women's, football, basketball, softball, I could go on. She attends every event she can possibly attend. And Dr. Schimberger, thank you for your support and all that you do for Murray State University. But let's give our regents a round of applause. They made this happen. Quickly, I want to recognize Mr. Saul and his staff. They have worked very, very hard in recent days and weeks and months as we've gone through the process of the Missouri Valley Conference and the Missouri Valley Football Conference, that application process. And it takes a lot of time and energy, travel, which he and I and others have done over many months. And Kevin, we appreciate your leadership and your leadership from your staff as well. Also, we have a number of administrators here. I'm not going to call them all out, but I appreciate them, especially our Provost, Vice President of Academic Affairs, Tim Todd, our Vice President of Finance, Jackie Dudley, and a number of other folks, and I won't recognize each and every one of them, but our administrators and our faculty and our staff and our students have been extremely supportive of this change, and it's a big change, and these are historic days we're going through right now for this institution, and I appreciate each and every one of them and all that they've done for this institution. Maybe most importantly, and I don't want to leave this group out, and it's why we're here. It's why we're here at Murray State University, and it's why we're here today. It's our student athletes and our coaches and assistant coaches. And Coach Dean Hood is one of the finest in the country, and his staff, and he's putting together a wonderful program, a wonderful team, making a lot of different changes that we haven't seen here in the past. And you see all the football players, our student athletes that are here, and I want to give them a round of applause because it's why we're here today. So lastly, and I've got my list of folks I don't want to forget. And you'll appreciate this. I think it's appropriate, especially on this day, as we go through the Missouri Valley Football Conference, to accept that invitation and make this announcement. So when Athletic Director Saul and I first met with Coach Hood about this potential application to this change, we asked him, okay, Coach, what are your thoughts? And he said, make no little plans. And that's a piece of a famous quote from a famed architect. And I want to read the rest of it because I think it is appropriate today as well. But make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood, and probably themselves will not be realized. Make big plans. Aim high and hope and work. And we've made no little plans. Coach Hood's made no little plans. Mr. Saul's made no little plans. And I'm excited about the days and the years ahead in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. And let's give all of them a round of applause and thank them for the work that they've done. And lastly, and most importantly, we've been playing football for almost 100 years. I think coaches, our 98th or 99th year.
This is Team 98.
Team 98. So almost 100 years worth, we've been playing football, and we've been playing at a high level. And we couldn't do that without our supporters, our fans, our alumni, our donors, our friends, and all of you that are out there who support this university as a whole. You support the university academically, and you support our athletics, Racer Athletics at Murray State University. I want to give all of you, many of you are here today, and I want to give you a round of applause, and I want to thank you for all that you do for this great institution. And Dave, that is it for me. And if I left anyone out, I apologize. But I wanted to make sure on this special day that we thank those that we should be thanking, and we're excited about the Missouri Valley Football Conference. And Dr. Curtis.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Thanks so much, Bob, and big, huge welcome.
Thank you.
Into this group of presidents, and I think you're going to find them to be a wonderful group of presidents who are supportive of one another, and they look forward to greeting you here. And I want to say to AD Saul as well, you're going to find the same thing with the ADs. They're a fine group of professionals who really value the Missouri Valley Football Conference and the status that it has in the country, and we're just so thrilled to have Murray State coming on board with us. I too want to say something to the student athletes. You're going to find a level of competition that's going to be exciting for you in Missouri Valley football. You're also going to find a kind of competition in this league where the other student athletes really respect you, and they look forward to meeting you on that field and all of you achieving the dreams you've all had. So we are thrilled for you to be joining us in the Missouri Valley. I will say I've had the privilege to be a part of hearing the presentation not only for football, but for the Missouri Valley All-Sport Conference from these two colleagues and these wonderful administrators here that you have. They are a class act. They truly are a class act, and you should be incredibly proud of how they presented your institution. Because I will tell you, for me, it was inspirational to hear not only the history of Murray State, but where you want to take it and what do you want to provide to the Missouri Valley Football Conference. So without further ado, I think, Bob, you're going to find a close-knit group of presidents. Of course, all bets are off when we take the field, but then we come back together and we're all friends again, and we couldn't be happier than to say to Murray State, welcome to the Missouri Valley Football Conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Curtis. That was awesome. And Commissioner Viverito, you have been on the ground floor with what used to be the old Gateway Conference, and seeing from someone who's watched that conference for all these years and see it transform. Congratulations to you and all the people that have made that football league what it is. Maybe you can speak to the process of Murray State speaking with you and the President's Council, and how all that went and how you arrived at offering the invitation to Murray State to join the Missouri Valley Football Conference.
Sure, and I'm going to use some of my time to do a little history lesson, but first I want to do a shout out to Eric and say I'm really looking forward to meeting you. And then I want to turn around and look at this backdrop, and doesn't it look like this was just meant to be? It's absolutely beautiful. I was thrilled to see it when I walked in the room. So, history lesson. Back in the mid-90s, our subdivision, which was then 1AA, really was undergoing a bit of an identity crisis. There were a lot of folks that saw this allure to go FBS, and at the same time, there was a pretty good segment of the subdivision that was trying to find ways to save money and reduce scholarships and opportunities. We weren't in crisis, but we thought that the Missouri Valley Football Conference, which was a Gateway Football Conference at that time, needed to kind of have a come to Jesus meeting with our presidents about what did we want to be. And again, it was the mid-90s, and our presidents got together and had a full day and a half strategic planning session, and they came out of it with a mission and vision statement which exists to this day. And we open every meeting with that mission and vision statement because it simply says this, that we are going to be nationally competitive at the highest level of football in Division I, where the NCAA offers a playoff opportunity. And we don't care what you call it. We don't care how many scholarships there are. We are committed to being among the best and to send as many teams as possible into the postseason to carry our banner. And that is what our presidents did for us in giving us the vision and leadership to be as successful as we've been on the field. And I will tell you that we wouldn't be here today if we as a conference weren't convinced that Murray State is every bit as committed to that vision as we are. And I think that I speak for everyone in the conference to say, welcome, we couldn't be happier or prouder to have you part of this association. And I'm going to end with just a little bit of maybe a challenge to all of you players in the room, because I love to see the student athletes here. I know you're going to be playing in the Ohio Valley for one more year. So my challenge to you is go out and win the darn thing so that we have one more team representing our league moving into the following season. Please do that.
Thank you, Commissioner Viverito. That's awesome. Head Coach Dean Hood, the last time we were here, Dean, we were introducing you as head coach in 2019. I'll never forget that day and how proud I was that you were going to become our head coach. I know you must be excited. Just tell us your thoughts of this day, and here we go.
Yeah, we already talked about it a little bit after one of the practices. The two words are blessed and honored. We're just blessed to, first of all, our partnership with the Ohio Valley Conference, and how awesome that was and all the things that did for us. It just was a true blessing. We're blessed for our leadership, our Board of Regents, Regent Kriegler, President Jackson, A.D. Saul, and all the people that helped them, that they're aligned and they saw a moment and they seized the moment. I think it's one thing to have vision and to think this is going to be something great. It's another thing to get your hands dirty and to work and to make it happen. So, you know, we're really, really blessed. And then we're honored. We're honored to be a part of the best FCS conference in all of college football, the Missouri Valley Football Conference.
Here, here. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. We'll move on to Athletic Director Kevin Saul. Kevin, you guys have been very busy, and here we are, and we're sitting here, and this is a historic moment for Murray State University.
We've been busy, Dave.
Yep,
So
we have.
Dave has been the stalwart behind the scenes, providing a lot of stats and information. So appreciate that. Welcome everybody, guys. Really glad that you are here to see this and be a part of something so special as we transition our football program. I do want to thank President Curtis for spending 8 hours on the road with us today. I really appreciate that, and I'll brag on Commissioner Viverito a little bit, just coming from the women's Final Four. Coming straight here to be a part of this special day. So thank you so much for that. Just have several folks that I do want to thank as well, and I know Chair Krigler is watching, and I'll give you a virtual hug, Eric. I know this is a big day for you, and look forward to celebrating that with you. Two people that we have neglected to thank here is our president, Dr. Bob Jackson, and Karen, his wife, who allow us the latitude and leeway to do a lot of really cool things here. And I really appreciate that. So thank you very much. I know this is a proud day for you as alums, and it is a pleasure to work for two alums that are leading this institution. Dean Hood, I may get a little emotional here, so bear with me. To Dean, his incredible staff, and your families, just really appreciate all that you've done here the last few years. December of 2019, Dean Hood and I met in Elizabethtown for 6 hours and talked about Murray State football. And he brought his binder that had about 20 different tabs in it, and we talked through every aspect, every element of that program, and we stood in this room December 14th and introduced him. And we aspired to dream big that day, and today is a continuation of that day to develop our football program and launch authentic men through our football program. Just proud for you guys to be here. Want to thank our fans for their trust, partnership in this journey. A lot of work lies ahead for us. We have so many athletics and university folks that are here that have been incredibly supportive through this process as well. We've talked about Regents, our Vice President for Finance and Administration, Jackie Dudley, is here. Renee Pfister, Dr. Pfister was so helpful in everything that we've done. So just incredibly thankful there. To Racer Nation, I know that we have members of our Racer Football Alumni Association here, and I'm so happy that you guys are here to be a part of this, and you've been supportive from day one through today. And I'm as excited for you all as I am for our young men to be able to walk through this. We've got so many families, and I'm going to leave some out, but I feel like it's very important that we touch base and thank some families that have really launched with us beginning in 2019 to get us here today. Billy Young, in honor of his wife, Tanya Young, has been so supportive to our program. Scotty and Debbie Crump, Tommy and Sandy Draffin, Mark and Kelly Workman. Bob Burton, Bill Morgan, the Racer Football Alumni Association. Roger and Lee Rushing, Dairyman Supply, Vic Etheridge, the Dunn, Mudd, Rose, Yates, Perry, Hutchinson. There's so many families that have been a part of this this moment today, and I certainly appreciate your faith in us. To brag a little bit on the power that President Curtis and Commissioner Viverito, the power of the conference that they have been ushered over the last 40 years. It is the preeminent FCS football conference in the country. Okay. The vision that this conference has for aggressive growth and development is the environment we want our football program to be in. It will be a steep climb. We're talking about 11 national championships, 5 national runner-up finishes. Recently, 9 of the last 11 national championships have come from the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Okay? At least one team in the championship game the last 11 straight seasons. Okay? FCS postseason playoff tournament field of 24. The Missouri Valley Football Conference has averaged like 4.6 tournament bids. That's 20% of the field the last 11 years. And if you look at the at-larges since 2014, they've represented 28% of that field. So just an incredible league, and we are so thankful and appreciative to be a part of that, okay? Murray State football is a program with proven historical success when the university, athletics, and the community are aligned, and we certainly have that here today. We're a program that's supported by a Murray community in the Western Kentucky region, and that's been evidenced here the last few years, and I want our fan base to understand how important that support is in transitioning to this league. 40% increase in revenue over year here this first couple of years. 22% growth in our season tickets, okay? We've knocked down about half a dozen attendance records that have stood for the last 25 years. And all of those are markers for growth, okay? We've got a program that's worked incredibly hard for 2 back-to-back winning seasons for the second time in 21 years, okay? We've got a program where young men are jumping at the opportunity to build something special here in Murray. I want to brag on our coaching staff a little bit in their recruiting class. There's 254 FBS and FCS football programs combined, and Murray State's recruiting class was 137th this spring, 7th nationally out of 128 FCS programs. Let's give them a round of applause for working very hard at that. We've worked really hard on that, and I want to just appreciate folks for their support financially. I would challenge our fan base even further to align with us as we continue this journey to match resources to expectations. Join us in Stewart Stadium. Join us on the road. Enjoy new venues as we transition. And then obviously we ask you to join us financially as we continue to match resources to expectations. So with that, just very appreciative and thankful for everybody that is here. Appreciate Commissioner Viverito and her patience and her guidance throughout the last 4 months, and just very thankful for where we are. So thank you and congratulations to everybody that's here.
Thank you, Kevin Saul. And we're going to open it up for a few questions. If anybody got a question of our panel up here. Now, President Curtis, Commissioner Viverito, I've got to tell you, we have this horse. It's called Racer One. And I can't wait for you to come down to Murray and see Racer One run around the track.
I've been there. I've seen Racer One.
It's-
What I like is the new gates. Like that
Yes.
is like so cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the new starting gate's probably the greatest idea of our circus ringleader, Kevin, over here.
No, that was Coach Hood.
Oh, was that Coach Hood? Okay.
Love it. Love it.
Absolutely.
Well, we always say we want to have our home game somewhere between a rodeo and a circus. And that's why we have all these different things going on game day. It's a really fun place to be. So if you're out there watching on ESPN Plus and Facebook, come on out, because we're going to have a big time with Murray State football. So we would open up to questions. Anybody's got one here? Just raise your hand. If not, I've got just a few before we take off here. Go ahead, Roger.
Commissioner, is there a plan in place on how you're going to schedule yet?
Yes.
A question about question about scheduling. That's a good
First,
question.
let me tell you, I'm sorry it took so long for us to get here and get our act together, but that was part of it. We wanted to make sure that we were all going into this with our eyes wide open, and scheduling is a big part of that. Coaches especially like to know that the scheduling piece is taken care of. So at our very first meeting, our President's Council charged the athletic directors to get to work and come up with some scheduling models. And we looked at them all. And what we came down to, final analysis, was that the most important thing for us to accomplish in scheduling is to make sure that every team in the league faced every other team in the league at least 4 out of every 6 years. We thought that that was important for competitive equity and just for a sense of belonging in the league. We thought that that was critical. And so, yeah, you might look at the schedule, 2 years, 4 years, 6 years down the road and say, why aren't we scheduling so-and-so? Well, if it comes to pass that you're not seeing somebody that maybe is a bus trip, it's because we wanted to make sure that you saw everybody in the league, so that every student athlete that comes through your program, every 4 years, they're going to see everybody more than once.
Any other questions? from the group here. Yeah, there in the back, go ahead.
Have you guys seen an increase in freshman recruits since joining Missouri Valley Conference?
A question about enrollment, freshmen coming in because of the Missouri Valley Conference and now the football conference. Dr. Jackson, you want to take that one?
Absolutely. I hope it's a major influencer. I hope it's a huge help. And obviously, the change to the Missouri Valley Conference and the change to the Missouri Valley Football Conference, and again, they're two distinct conferences. So that's maybe unknown by many or confused by at least some in that regard, but it will help. It's going to help our footprint. We said this many times. We said it in the presentations that we've made in St. Louis. We've said it in presentations we've made in other locations as well. But 91% of the students that come to Murray State are in the Missouri Valley Football Conference or Missouri Valley Conference footprint, and 80% of our alums live in that footprint. So that's where we recruit. That's where our students come from. That's Tennessee North, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, and so on. And we're going to keep doing that and putting the pressure on in regard to recruiting, and it will help. It will make a difference. And we're going to be playing different competition and new programs. And I think our fan base as well as students will be excited when the fall of 23 gets here and the Missouri Valley Conference starting July 1.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Any other questions? Yeah, one right here.
A follow-up on that, you mentioned recruits. Coach, have you seen anything or heard any comments from recruits or potential recruits?
A question about recruiting, Coach Hood?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been brought up. You know, of course, we didn't know if we were going to get the invitation, so we were careful how we used that, you know, in recruiting. But you know, it was talked about. But I think it's really going to help us. I mean, we've lost guys to Missouri Valley Conference schools. Kids drive past our campus to go to Missouri Valley Conference schools. So I think, you know, now that'll help us in recruiting, and I think it's gonna attract. I mean, that logo means something. You know, when I was at Kentucky, you know, Kentucky was the northernmost school in the SEC, and Coach Stoops did a great job of going north because that SEC brand meant something. And you got a lot of very good players, you know, out of Ohio, out of Michigan, because they wanted to play in the best conference in college football at the FBS level. And I think the same thing will be true here. You know, kids will want to come play at the best conference in FCS football.
Thank you, Coach Hood. We might wrap it up, Kevin, with just one last question. Everything that Murray State University's done to this point, now we got to keep going. Now the work really starts.
Well, absolutely, and it's not a coincidence that we've released our schedule and we've started our season ticket renewal. So we just encourage Racer Nation to purchase season tickets to Murray State football, and let's enjoy that rodeo / circus in Stewart Stadium and have a great time with it. So thank you all so much for being here today.
All right, thank you all for being here. Thanks to all of our fans and football fans that have been watching today on ESPN Plus and Facebook. And that will end our program today. And go Racers.
Go Racers. Thank you all.